Hi, everybody. Good morning. So I have my blue light glasses on, so I'm sorry you can see that reflection, but I have a sty. I think it's from looking at the screen so much. So I wanted to pop on because it's mid-November and it's about to get cold. I think there's a chance of snow flurries on Monday. And I was thinking, I need to bring my, I've got a potted plant on the front porch. I need to bring that in. I know this is the time of year that we winterize our yards, we winterize our houses and our cars. Pretty soon after there's the first snowfall, my husband will be putting the like scrubby brush thing with the scraper. You can tell I am not from the north because I don't even know what that's called, but he'll put that in my car soon. And by the way, this is a video probably mostly for my folks in Pennsylvania, since in Texas, none of this really applies. But if you're tuning in, thank you anyways. So we winterize all these things to prepare for the winter, right? And it occurred to me that we really need to do that just in ourselves as well. I think especially this year because it's been such a wild year. But so I just thought of a few things. If you guys know me at all, you know that I kind of operate inside of this 3-part man, which I don't mean just men, but like that a human is kind of made of 3 parts: physical, mental, and spiritual. Now I'm not gonna like die on that cross, but it's a simple way for me to think about how like we have these 3 areas that we really have to take care of. So real quick, I just wanted to run through a few things that I thought about that we could winterize. So physically, because I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do in the winter, take your vitamin D, right? Like we don't have the normal sunlight in Pittsburgh. I feel like we hardly ever have normal sunlight, but in fact, my PCP here said that she's not even allowed to run a vitamin D lab on our blood work because everyone's vitamin D deficient up here. So I thought that was funny. But take your vitamin D, eat extra fruits and veggies, because if you think about like comfort food that we tend to eat in the winter, it's a lot of like stews and soups and like slow cooked, heavy, like meat heavy, starch heavy. I mean, that's what makes it comfort food, right? But if you think about like, there's not a lot of fruits and vegetables in those recipes. And so if there are, because it's a slow cook thing, usually the fruits and veggies are gone, like the nutrients at least. So it's all mushy, right? So if you can get some extra fruits and vegetables in. My husband and I are juicing. We do not do a good job of getting enough, that's my dog, sorry, vegetables in our diet anyway. So we've been juicing, and that's been a fantastic way to just ensure that we're getting some basic nutrients that we need. The other thing is, now this might be for more than one category, those happy lights. I don't know if you've seen or heard of them. There used to be called a SAD light, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, but then in the last DSM, they changed what that diagnosis is called. So now I just see people call them happy lights. If you've been to my office, I have one on the table next to where I sit. It's a really bright light, and you're supposed to sit in front of it for like 15 to 30 minutes when you first wake up. And it helps trick your brain into thinking that the sun's up, and it gets you up and ready to go. So I have one of those in my office. If you ever come in and want to plop it on, let me know. We can, have that on during your session. I got one on Amazon. It was like $30 or $40. But I for sure knew I needed one when I moved up here because it's cold and gray and it gets dark really early and it stays dark really late. So, that's the physical, like winterize yourself physically. Exercise, of course, always. I know it gets harder because you feel like outside you can't maybe walk, or if you normally run or bike, like it's harder to do those things. And it is, that's absolutely true. So find other ways that you can exercise on the inside. There's a million apps out there. I'm sure a lot of them have free workouts. YouTube has a bunch, but find something that you can do to keep your body moving. We tend to want to hibernate and we want to shut down, but the problem is that affects us mentally as well. So, okay, mentally, to winterize your mind, I want you to think about things that you can do to keep your mind active. So interestingly enough, this is very similar to what happened when in March we first started kind of shutting everything down. if you followed me then, I did a whole bunch of tips, like how to function basically stuck inside. So if you think about the winter, it's kind of the same, right? We feel stuck inside. So we did puzzles, we did painting. In fact, we still haven't finished our canvases that we started then. Find some really good books. Maybe you have a stack of books on your nightstand like me that you haven't got to read yet. Find a time, maybe it's curling up in front of the fire under a nice cozy blanket. Audiobooks, podcasts, whatever it is that kind of keeps you thinking mentally, highly encourage it. Now, I know a lot of times we're like, oh, but it's Christmas break. I just want to veg out. I don't want to do anything. But remember, we're either growing or dying. There's no plateau. So keep that in mind and make sure you're always, even if it's a different gear, make sure you're still growing. And then spiritually, the main thing. So a lot of times, again, with the weather, you can't drive in the weather, you can't get out, maybe church closes. Find a way to stay connected. Now, I know everyone is tired of video meetings, right? My eyes are tired of video meetings, but we have to stay connected. We are created for fellowship. We are created to interact with others. Of course, our personalities lend that to more or less, wanting that more or less. But find a way to stay connected and don't completely become a hermit just because it's the winter. So I think if you can start building some new routines or adding to some routines that incorporate some of this, that by the time, like, I feel like January and February is when it really gets bad up here in Pittsburgh. By the time that hits, you will already have made so much progress that it maybe won't hit you as hard. So I just want to encourage you all to take a few minutes to think about how you can winterize your life. What is good for you? What are things that you really like to do during the summer months that you can't do in the winter? And what are some workarounds? What are some things, how can you modify that so that you don't just stop completely doing those things that help you feel better, okay? All right, you guys, I love you. Take care. Let me know if you need anything. Bye-bye.